We check one. Alrighty, folks. I'm just going to get through it real quick. You guys have been invited to be here to watch it live. It'll be short, promise you, real quick. I have things I have to take care of, and I don't have a whole lot to go on. Just a few things I want to cover today. So the dollar index here, we haven't really seen much in way of continuation, except for a slightly little higher high here. I'm sticking to the idea that they'll want to eventually get to that high here and clear these highs. We have a little bit of an inefficiency here, so they may want to drop down into that and then maybe send it from that. I think that they've done enough by taking these lows here and utilizing this to send it where it is now. So, gun to my head, I'm sticking to the narrative that higher dollar. The wartime issues, I think that dollar still has that, I guess, influence still. Whether it has it years from now or not remains to be seen. But we haven't really seen much in the way of movement there. Real quick with euro dollar. Okay, we had a slightly lower low here. These lows are still a candidate for me. I like those being taken if the dollar index does in fact continue going higher. And pound dollar, uh, we had this level here. I told you I wanted to see it trade down through it and use it as an inversion fair value gap. It hasn't qualified for an inversion fair value gap yet because we haven't traded to the lower end of it. Okay, there's a lot of people out there um, assuming just because someone has a rectangle drawn on their box or draw a box on their chart, they think that's an ICT inefficiency fair value gap. Now inversion fair value gap. And if you don't know the rules, obviously, just seeing a box on a chart, it looks like one of those things those guys used to talk about, those ICT concepts or whatnot. But the inversion fair value gap has very specific characteristics that have to be fulfilled, or it's not an inversion fair value gap. So we haven't done what I wanted to see it do, even though I'm still going to hold on to um, the likelihood that we could potentially see, if the dollar goes higher, we could rotate lower and explore and maybe retest that low. I've already told you last night what would indicate me being wrong about that and then how I would use that information. So I'm not going to repeat that here, but just a real quick, brief review. Crude oil. Okay, on the daily chart, I'm going to go back to the weekly chart because I gave you that inefficiency over here. I mentioned that this is obviously the macro draw, but I told you to watch this one. Okay, this is important. And going over to what we saw last night at 6 p.m. when we opened up. We opened above that high, as I indicated we probably might do, and then went straight on up to a high of 119,000.48. Okay. And it just fell short of the high end of this inefficiency. And then during the evening last night, I sent a post on X stating that, pay the trader and it's time and date stamped. Okay. So you guys can look on my X feed and see that. I meant to actually grab it again, the link, and then paste it over top the chart here, but, you know, I got tied up with teaching Caden, my youngest son. He's going for his driver's license. So that's where I was. Gave me a couple scares. I'm not gonna lie, but he did all right otherwise. So this is again the business here. The high and that inefficiency doesn't look so much like an inefficiency on the daily chart, does it? But the weekly chart does in fact show that. And the buy side there, and then where we're at here. Okay, so if I'm not mistaken, I think it was around 10, 20 minutes to 11 p.m. last night. Don't hold me to that, okay? But it's somewhere in that vicinity between 10:30 Eastern time and 11 o'clock Eastern time last night. I believe that's when I posted it. But you can see it on X. It's I don't ever delete anything, so you can see it. But we are up here towards the high, and I'm going to drop into a 1 minute chart and give you the skinny on that. I know. If you just click this little calendar down here, ICT, I like pushing you. I like putting you through it all. You're a sadist. I'm a Satanist. Oh, I did that thing I don't want to do all the time. Yep, it's not gonna let me do it. Let me see if I can correct it. So yeah, I think it does show me that. Good grief. There's the post. Well, it was 10:40. So I said pay the trader, and then over here you'll see that this inefficiency here, right there, high, low, higher high. You know what this PD array is if you've been with me for a while, and using it as an inversion fair value gap. You can see we trade up the consequent encroachment. I'm using the two lines here. And I'm going to actually take this off so that it makes it a little bit easier. So that candlestick sets up the stage for inversion, consequent encroachment, lower quadrant, almost the entire range of it, and then ultimately trades all the way back down into lower targets. Crude oil is a market that at the present would be viewed as a market that's underneath the veil of an event driven market, kind of like silver and gold has been for the last 6 or 7 months. The idea of usually I'm not touching these types of markets. And because of the wartime events that we're seeing, I'm going to remind you that that's pretty much a reminder I'm not touching it again. But I wanted to give you something to go with, and I am trying to get this thing to recenter. It won't let me do it, so bear with me 1 second. It is not working with me. Nope, it's not letting me do what I wanted to do. So I think we may have gotten it back. So anyway, this thing here jumps around on me. And I end up having to monkey around with it. So we should be all right. Okay, good grief. So go back here real quick and show you what it looked like again, because I know that wasn't really useful when I was first showing it to you. So this candlestick right here on the 1 minute chart at Sunday, 10:23 p.m. Eastern time, part of a breaker. It's encroachment, just about the entirety of that. Okay, and it enters into the macro time of 12:50 to 1:10 a.m. How about that? Macro works on crude oil, by the way. You know, there's things that they're saying doesn't exist. It's so funny. The market drops aggressively and takes out some sell side there and ultimately removes all of the gain and then back down into 95.05. And then we had a nice little dump in here. Real aggressive sell off here at the last hour of trading during a macro time. Um, the last hour of trading has the 250 to 310 macro. Then it has the 315 to 345 macro. So that means there's going to be a spooling event that usually starts there. If it doesn't, it can begin at 330. Then you have the standard market on close or murder on close, as they call it. Uh, that's the last little bit of the action that's usually seen. But if you look at what time this is here, look what time that starts, 3:15. Now I know some of you are going to say, well, you just made that up. Okay. The folks that have been around for a little while, folks that are part of the Trader Roundup community as well, they know I've been in Kit's follow-up sessions, and when they were doing their individual things, I would just pop in. Um, I would share some things. I would teach, and I would be asked lots of questions around time elements and macro times and what's a macro and this, that, and other thing. And apart from the 50 to 10 macro, um, there is a lunch macro, but they're generally limited to the last 10 minutes of the top of the hour and the first 10 minutes of the new hour. So inside that 20-minute window. But the last hour of trading, this one has several macros, and it's based on end of day settlement, um, all the things that would go along with creating the final portion of the daily range as it relates to regular trading hours. But there's the beginning of the move at 3:15. So you all know that it's been around for a while. That 3:15 to 3:45 that creates that nice swing. What happens if it doesn't create a swing like that? Then we move closer to that last portion of the day, and you'll get that little flurry of a run. But these are generally much more pronounced. They're much more, I guess, extreme or energetic because it gives you the last final hurrah of the move 15 minutes after 3 o'clock Eastern time, and then look at the run here. Rips all the way down. And the lowest candle here comes in at 3:39 p.m. So that right there is a really handsome example of a macro time being utilized in crude. But anyway, it's probably random. Let's go into having to set that OBS up again has broke my continuity here. Usually I would take a break for a second while I was recording and then edit out all that stuff so that way it would be continuous going right into the next thing. But I'm I don't have that luxury here today. So that's the perils of live streaming, I guess. All right, so here is the micro E-mini NASDAQ 100, and it's the March delivery contract. And you can see in the last hour, pardon me, same thing here at 3:15, starts running, and then now we've been meandering around in here. The day here, if you look at these lows and you compare them with that of, keep your eye on these lows here, okay? So look at it like this. Okay, so we have a higher low there. But now if I look at it through the micro E-mini S&P, same thing. We're comparing the low at 10 o'clock to 10:15. Watch what happens. We have a higher low relative to that low here on the NASDAQ. And then we have a lower low here on the E-mini S&P. See that? So that's SMT divergence. And let me go back to the NASDAQ. We'll look at the E-mini S&P in a moment. But we have the opening range here. So just looking at the high of the day, starting at regular trading hours, which begins at 9:30 Eastern time, we rallied up, and then we traded down aggressively, and then we created a higher low right there, and then we created this little run here. So because of the S&T divergence, because of it being Monday, because of the conditions that we're in, I've been counseling you to consider not anticipating a breakout and a continuation in the breakout on the higher time frame charts, because the market's pulling back inside the ranges, and because we're in that market condition, it's better for you to not anticipate a big, long, protracted price run, okay? Because we're not in a trending market. So if it does manage to trade below an old key low or above an old key high, it's more likely that it's going to be pulling itself back into the range it just left, because we're in a very strong consolidation um, portion of the market. A lot of uncertainty, a lot of fear, a lot of trepidation. Just no one really wants to put a lot of risk on. So everything is short term, everything's intraday, and that's it. And if we trade outside the boundary of the previous day's high or low, I'm not convinced that that's usually a continuation once it happens. So it's like a turtle soup environment. Okay. When we see the NASDAQ fail to do a run that's equal to NASDAQ, I'm sorry, to equal to that of the S&P, because the S&P made a lower low here comparably. This is indicating that this market is looking to go higher. And it would be the leadership issue. It's the strong one, and the sixth sister at that time would be the S&P. So we can look at things like where the market had traded in here. This high is suspect because got real close to it here against an SMT divergence and the opening range gap. Close there. And the open on that candlestick. So here's consequent encroachment of the regular trading hours opening range gap. Okay, so that comes in around 24,545 and a half. So in here, anticipating that, looking for it to move higher, that's fine. Not expecting a full closure of the gap when it was trading down here like this. I want to keep it very simple, nothing extreme. And then looking at it from the regular trading hours, electronic trading hours, you'll see the framework that I gave you this morning. Be careful. It's going to do the same thing it did to me earlier. Okay. We had Sell side liquidity, look how smooth these lows are. We had the 930 candlestick run up, trade up into an octant level, and then this buy side and balance sell side efficiency. I annotated that and shared it by screenshot because OBS, like you saw me here tonight live streaming, it was messing with me, wouldn't connect. So because the move was about to ensue, I was just simply drawing out the stuff that would have been done over live streaming as a tape reading session. And I was building them up, the slides that I was posting to the X feed. So whenever you see an orange box right away, you should know, where is it anchored to? Oh, it's anchored to this candlestick here. Is it an up close candle? If it's an up close candle, then the inversion aspect is it's not going to be treated as a bullish PD rate to send price higher. I'm holding a perspective that it would use this as a means to get short. In other words, go below it, outside of it, and trade back up into it, and getting short inside here. Pardon me. Immediate rebalance, and then attacking the sell side liquidity pool, and you saw that trade to it. It actually stopped me out. It didn't give me the target I wanted. I trailed the stop loss lower, and it knocked me out. But everything being equal, with what I was mentioning earlier, because S&P made the divergence in relationship to the NASDAQ here, even though the S&P made a lower low, and we'll look at that now. Yes, 26. So here's that lower low. I'm not afraid. I'm not afraid. So the sing it, ICT, sing it, brother. The lower low here, if we're not going to consider SMT, okay, say it's not a factor, or you don't like it, you don't have an affinity for it, that's fine. You don't need it. It just highlights something that you would otherwise necessarily, not necessarily, but otherwise you would probably see and not need or have a necessity for comparing lows and highs. And what would that look like? Well, if we're looking at the S&P, I had this area over here, this buy side balance sell side efficiency, which incorporates this low, where what would be below that sell side liquidity pool. So there's sell side below that. We hit it here. Look where the body is of the candle. Stop and open right there, right on the consequent encroachment level. Yes, the wicks are allowed to color outside the line, but it's just like your child that you love. You give it crayons and paper or coloring book, and it colors just outside the lines, and it hands you that picture, and it's proud. Look at this, daddy. Look at this, mommy. And you're not going to look at this and say, look at this mistake you made right here. If you did, you're a jerk. You're not going to crush your kid's spirit. Well, since this algorithm is my baby, I am looking at this saying, okay, this is permissible. This is loud. It's not broken. And then we see this run up, and then it comes right back down. And just outside of that range, you see that? Look at the bodies. They're small. Okay, this is for your notes. Even though the bodies are technically outside of that inefficiency, look what they formed. See that? Two little twin ball bearings, okay? Little tiny little shish kebabs with the last little piece of vegetable or meat on the end of it, okay? So that's not meaningful to me. Now, if the bodies were like more longer than that, not these little nubs, okay? These aren't, to me, upsetting. So I would look at this to anticipate higher prices. It runs higher, immediate rebalance here, upper quadrant of the inefficiency or fair value gap, trades back down, touches the very high of it here. Is this indicating bullish order flow based on how I'm teaching you how to read price action? No gimmicks, no retail stuff, no looking inside the candlestick and what's the number of orders that was bought and sold here. We don't need all that stuff. We don't need any of that stuff. Okay. We're in the trenches. This is what we're looking for. Okay. Very clear indications that market is supporting every PD array that would usually see higher prices. We're seeing that illustrated here. Then we had this price run up here and leaves that high. This is an order block. This down close candle that sends price up in here, we have a change in the state of delivery. It runs, but it leaves an incomplete run to liquidity with this high. So what we have is a order block there. This order block is parent. Okay. This order block is a propulsion block. It's the last down closed candle, part of this series of down closed candles. What is this candlestick doing in relationship to this one? It's trading inside of it. Does it breach or go below mean threshold? Mean threshold is the halfway point of an order block. Okay. It doesn't do that. It's up here. Half of this range would be viewed like this. It's your full range. There's mean threshold. It didn't get to it. That's the minimum criteria for a valid propulsion block. Propulsion block is an order block. Go to month 4 content of the 2016 playlist of my mentorship. It's all free. They're all my paid lecture notes. Okay. All those lectures, those videos, that's what that stuff is. Okay. A lot of people out there trying to sell it to people that are just silly. They just don't realize it's literally on my YouTube channel. So we have order block, then it trades into it here. This is a propulsion block, meaning that once this candlestick trades above, I'm sorry, once this price action trades above its opening here, there should be an extrapolation to the upside. It should be quickly, it should run away, which is why I named it propulsion block. Yes, price did shoot all the way from this order block here, but if you get it shown in this way, where there's 2 candlesticks that represent an order block, the second one is a propulsion block. It's like rocket fuel. It's like throwing gasoline on an open fire. What happens? And as Eddie Murphy said, "Now that's a fire." So we have the market rally up. We have this small little sibby, okay, from this candlestick's low and this candlestick's high. Normally, if it was a bearish market, this trading up into that right there, that would indicate what? Looking for a short to see price go lower. But we have all this backdrop in here where this is simply just a turtle soup. It traded below that previous low. Forget the S&T for a moment. You don't need the S&T, okay? For people out there say, you got to have S&T. You don't. You don't need that. But it's a nice little qualifier. It tells you that there's a crack in correlation and something big's about to happen. Well, if we're trading on intraday charts, we're not demanding that it trade, much more significant by trading going long on the NASDAQ. The short was done today in the micro NASDAQ, and the long was in the ES micro. So inside this little area here, this wouldn't be seen as a shorting opportunity. This would be used as an inversion fair value gap. And you can watch that video. I put it on YouTube today. It's about 17, 18 minutes long. It's at speed. And I'm not sure what happened. The audio, when I'm using Camtasia or the screen recording apparatus. I'm not right now. I'm using OBS because it streams live right to YouTube. When I'm not doing live streaming, I'm using Camtasia Studio, and it's by TechSmith. Okay, and I've been using them for a long, long time. And sometimes, if I start the recording and I don't do the clap my hands or snap my fingers like that, what that does is it syncs the audio with the video. Because if you don't do that, sometimes this apparatus will start recording one or the other, and then the audio will lag. And because I was in a hurry, I didn't do any kind of adjustments. I just, once it was done, I compressed it and then uploaded it. So I didn't bother to notice that it was a little bit slightly off with the audio. So it looks like I'm not talking about the right candle at that same time. Just bear with it, okay? Sometimes it happens, and I didn't have the luxury of going in and correcting it today. I had family stuff to take care of. So anyway, it's kind of like if you remember how watching old movie production, and I guess it still goes on today, where they had that little board with notations and what scene it is, and they had that little portion at the top where they open it up and then clap it closed real quick. That's to sync up the audio and the video so that way production can see where they're at to match. Well, that's what Camtasia is actually doing, and I didn't make any noise at the beginning of the video to let the video and audio sync up. And if I don't do that, it creates that problem you have today. And I apologize if it's something that drives you nuts, because it would drive me nuts too. But there's no refunds when it's free, right? So sell side and balance, buy side and efficiency. It's not a short. let's see if it trades outside of it. It does on this candlestick. It closes above the high of that gap. And then trading down into this inefficiency, inside of this order block, okay, changing the state of delivery, it becomes active. As soon as this candlestick's open, it's breached right there. Notice it doesn't have to do it on a closing basis. That's order block theory. It's not anything else out there. Okay. Nobody else can claim this is what it is. No, you're bullshit. Okay. You're bullshit. Okay. $5 million. Bet me I ain't got $5 million, motherfuckers out there talking about I ain't got $5 million. You're full of shit, man. Ain't nobody collecting their $5 million because they can't find my shit being taught anywhere else prior to me with this logic. It ain't there. Nobody else has this until I brought it out here. But that change in the state of delivery, that opening price right there, as soon as it breached it, that validates this as a propulsion block and specifically an order block. So once it does that, now we can look back inside of this gap. Where's the consequent encouragement? Blend both things. Two things are happening here, okay? This price validates this range. It's a propulsion block. There should be extrapolation to the upside. Quick run higher. Validated by that opening price. It ticks it on like a switch. And then any retracement here needs to do what? It needs to stay in the upper half of that gap. Does it do that? Yes. It opens, trades down, then goes up and closes above, changing state of delivery. So now, anything past this, it can touch, it can go in the upper quadrant, it can wick to the consequent encouragement, it can wick to the lower quadrant, it cannot leave a body below consequent encouragement to keep this valid, to keep this whole setup valid for a long. Consequent encouragement nails it, upper quadrant here, doesn't even go below to touch the top. And then we open here, come down, change in state delivery, can't be touched there, and rallies up, closes on an up close basis. Start looking for higher prices. And you can watch me give the commentary as the trade panned out in the recording from today. Watching for it to trade above this high, and accelerate, accumulation here, and then moves higher, and then runs to the high here, taking out the session high here. And I said I didn't need it to trade the consequent encouragement of the regular trading hours opening range gap. This is easy, low hanging fruit objective. And bada bing, bada boom. Okay. I gave you guys, again, as a reminder, because there was only like 900 people, if I'm not mistaken, in the Trader Roundup yesterday when I gave the assignment for taking one micro contract. And it doesn't matter what you're trading. It could be the ES like it is here. It could be the NASDAQ. If you want to do the Dow, it's your choice. Okay. Just because I don't trade the Dow doesn't mean that you shouldn't. I just think it's poison and I don't want to touch it. So you decide what it is that you want to trade and what asset you're going to trade, but use it as the smallest micro contract. Okay. It could be silver, even though it's wild and woolly right now. Um, Silver is going to be a little bit more volatile, and you may experience a whole lot more drawdown because just one micro in that could pretty much lay waste to you. And you can see how we reacted off of that, traded to that high, and then just kept grinding slightly higher, 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 came back down a little bit of consolidation, kept pressing it higher. And let's just counsel you to look at Friday's opening range gap, regular trading hours opening range gap, and you'll see these levels up here being utilized for that. Not today's. Today's regular trading hours opening range gap is defined by where we settled on Friday at 4:14 p.m. Eastern Time to 9:30's opening Eastern Time here today on Monday. That's the opening range gap for today. Fridays would be utilizing Thursday's 4:14 p.m. Eastern Time settlement price with regular trading hours. There's Friday. There's Thursday into Friday. So this is Friday's regular trading hours opening range gap. and this is today's regular trading hours opening range gap. Utilizing this, plot that on yours, and you'll see that's what it's using over here. Okay. So we have done an attempt to get up in here and put in some price action here for regular trading hours. Admittedly, I'm conflicted. Uh, I don't know what we'll do tomorrow, so I'll have to see what I wake up tomorrow morning and see what they did overnight. Um, we have a little bit more of this gap that could be a play, but if it wants to get overzealous, look how clean that is. So to me, that's a little bit of a concern because it could come up there and disrupt all that price action. So let's have that as a notation on our charts. Okay. So 68.47 half, that could be a factor for ES to the upside. And that's what it looks like on electronic trading hours. Okay. And I'm trying to think of what else, if there's anything else I wanted to talk about. Silver, let's take a quick look at that one. Let's go back out to the daily chart. And real quick, let me show you this. Again, look at this. Look at this consolidation on the daily chart. This is crazy. Like I have never, ever, ever in 30 plus years of trading, looking at market price action, I have never seen in my career years, ever seen a market environment like this on the daily chart in the indices. I've never seen it. So you're all seeing history right now. You're all experiencing it. And I promise you, anybody worth their salt, anybody that's been trading for any length of time, that's made real money, they would be honest and tell you that this is unprecedented type price action. It's never been like this. And I wish honestly the next time Larry Williams gets an interview, I wish somebody would say, "Hey, can you tell us what it's been like in your 50 plus years of trading? What does it look like to you in the market environments that we have now? Putting aside the volatility, that's one thing, but where we're trading and how we're trading in the range on this daily chart like this for S&P, because he's a big S&P buff, right? He's been doing it longer than I have. I would love to hear his input and his opinion about what this looks like. And I'm sure him being, the 1970s cowboy that he was, he's like, well, it's still a good market. It's a great market. It's a dandy of a market. It's wild. It gyrates. It moves around. That was his kind of like descriptions when I first learned about it from him in 1995. But hey, um, it's basically a mess. And because we've taken out that low there, we've breached that, and now we're back inside of this range. So does it roll over and come out of that again? I don't know. And I want you to hear that clearly. I don't know. And there's going to be times when I don't know something. And I want you to know when they are. Otherwise, I'm pretty confident once I'm waiting for a particular piece of information, then I know what I'm looking for. I can honestly tell you at this moment, I don't know. I can't look at this like I normally would be able to look at it at this time of the day even and tell you, well, I'm probably going to be going short or long tomorrow. One side, not both, one side. And then in the morning, you would wait for me in the morning to give you a level I'm aiming for. That's the draw. And then we would all watch and see how price action delivers to it. That's the way we do things around here. Right now, I don't know. And I would have to play it close to the vest. Okay, keep my cards close to the vest and not be willing to play anything until we get into 9:30's opening range tomorrow. So not even trading pre-session tomorrow. So I would be sitting on my hands, wait and see what the opening range gives us. Use first percent of fair value gap, and then if that doesn't, materialize in a clean, easy way, then wait till 10 o'clock and do a silver bullet. And if that doesn't really present anything, just don't touch anything in the morning session. Wait till the PM session. Just be reminded that because the market looks like this, this this is the biggest invitation for you to go and do something else. Don't trade this market. Okay. Don't try to trade right now. There's nothing wrong with that. You don't lose your trader's identity by simply saying, I'm not going to participate right now. I'll give it a couple more weeks. for most of you and everybody on social media, that's a taboo. You can't say that. You're not a real trader. You're not a real trader, bro. Unless you're able to trade every single day in every market environment, you can't be called a trader. Okay. Let me tell you, for someone that's been doing it over 3 decades, that is some level bullshit. Okay. You need to be looking for very choice conditions in the marketplace. And honestly, if I wasn't trying to teach actively price action and also just, disclose my new discoveries because this is this is all new territory for me. Like this is new for me. I've never been held inside of a range like this over the last 30 years where it is very challenging. Now, clearly when there's certain things that come into the marketplace, my stuff still shines. But you're only seeing my experience ferret that out. Whereas before we entered it in a sloppy large range like that, there's dozens of models I could choose from and say, look at this, I could do this, I could do this, I could do this, I could do buy and sell all day long. Right now, I'm looking for one real good setup and being content with that and just moving to the sideline. So what does that tell you? Does it tell you that the concepts are failing? No. It just means that I'm adapting to the market environment and I'm utilizing the tools when everything and my experience tells me it's indicative of a move that I could trust. Does that make sense? That should be a fair assessment of really what it is I'm doing. So, anyway, let's quickly take a look. I forgot to do Bitcoin last night. I apologize. I put a static chart up. All right, so here's the business on that. Back on October 17th of last year, right here, I told everyone that Bitcoin's probably going to explore going below 100,000, and had a couple trolls tell me, yeah, it's going to go down to 99, and I just gave them some typical ICT. Honestly, I'm not trying to be mean-spirited, but I know how social media works. I know how to push the buttons. I know how to get people talking. I know how to create a fire. I know how to create a crowd, and that's all I do. Okay, it's good. The banter's fun. Some of you guys take it too personal, and you get really stupid with it, and you cross boundaries and lines that shouldn't be touched. But it's just to have fun. Okay, I don't care who trades Bitcoin. I'm never going to do it, but I get a lot of questions about this particular market, and I this is my interpretation. We came up here to take out anyone that has been short and had trailed their stop loss, hit it right there. I'm assuming that that's probably what just took place here. Okay, this is a little bit too squared off for me, and even if it just goes down to make a lower low, this is anchored to a rejection block. I was watching this with my son, and I never moved the line after that. So I'm going to move it to the low. So there's sell side right there. Okay. So I think this right here was a little bump to take trailed stop losses on anyone that's short. And there's a gentleman. I'm not real big on crypto, so I don't recall the guy's name. This is one of the things I hate about live streaming because it's going to bother me that I can't remember this guy's name because I know you're all screaming it right now, and I can't hear you. So Sailor, is it Sailor? Well, it's something like that. But apparently, he's got like this really big position in Bitcoin, and he's announced something he can afford a drop down to like 8,000. And I don't know if this is all true. I don't know if it's just all made up stuff. I don't know anything about Bitcoin, admittedly. Okay, I don't know, but if you're out there and you have this huge position and you broadcast that you can weather a drop down to 8,000 when we're in the 70s. What? I don't know, man. Think about it. If it was buying and selling pressure, wouldn't it make sense for everybody all around the world to have really deep pockets just to sell pressure it down? Would it make sense if that's how it really worked? So I don't know. It's one of those, funny, what do you do with that? Things that make you say, hmm. I'm bearish on this. I'm not short. I've never had an actual position in Bitcoin ever. I wouldn't even know how to put one on until they created the futures contract. Until they did that, I would have never known how to actually put the trade on. I never knew what. brokerage firm to use, and I never had anybody convince me to do it, say it that way. And in 2013, I had a group of guys that were doing a live stream, and I sat with them, and we were doing an interview, and some dickhead used it as a gotcha. "Well, what about this and what about that?" And then when I said, "Well, tell me about your accolades," and he ran away with his tail between his legs and never heard again from him, which was kind of fun. But they were convincing me back then. It was like, I think it was like $300 or something for a Bitcoin back then. Anyway, it sounded like 300 or 600, something around that level. And they're saying, "Please, Michael, please just buy one Bitcoin. Just do it just one and hold on to it." Yeah, granted, if I would have did that, I probably could have had, a couple $1,000, couple, tens of $1,000 if I would have stuck with that idea. But I didn't believe it then. I still don't believe in this shit now, and it's ultimately going to go to zero. This very thing right here was used for pedophilia and purchasing. So you can get upset about that. You can deny it. You can wrestle with it. But that's the facts. That's what was done with it. And that was the number one reason why I said I was never going to touch it. But I'm not going to come out and talk about those things because you would have a million people coming at me. Oh yeah, prove it. Now look at it. It's everywhere. But nobody's really talking about that anymore, are they? They're talking about what's going on over the Middle East. So I'm just wondering, do you remember that list? So ultimately, the more people that find out about this, they're not going to want to hold it, and it's just going to cause a consideration for people that do have it to think maybe it's probably not a good thing for me to hold this. I think there was a crypto market. I think it was Luna. I believe it was Luna, where I think one day we're going to wake up and the chart's going to look just like that for Bitcoin. I don't think they're going to let people escape it when they put it down. And you know, this thing has tendencies to move. And if it's time to pull the plug on it, my opinion is that's why I would be absolutely irresponsible as an educator if I didn't speak from my heart when it comes to this, because there's a lot of people that hate my guts because I don't love this thing. I had death threats in the past because I spoke ill of it, even though I told the public that I don't trade it. But because you all ask me my opinion about it, I share it. And it was intermittently, like it wasn't a daily thing like NQ or futures. It wasn't something that I was always wanting to talk about. And I had a few calls that were wrong, but I've never left the idea that it's going to zero. And I told everybody the highest it would go is 127,000. And it just got underneath it. And then look where we're at now. I know some of you have your hopes and dreams on this thing, and you have your hopes and dreams on XRP, and you have all these other things. Okay. I'm just simply not going to participate. If you make lots of money, I hope you do. I sincerely hope you make lots of money. I hope you can come back and say, you know what, ICT, you were wrong, and this is what I did, and I made so much money. And you can make fun of me, you can laugh at me, you can say you were so wrong, blah, blah, blah. I won't tell you, oh, I wish I would have done that. It's never going to happen. That's never going to happen. Okay. But I do want to see you do well. But more importantly, I don't want to see any of you get hurt. That's really what I'm getting at here. When I talk to you about the markets, when I teach about certain things, it's all framed on the basis of you're not my audience. My children are. I'm 54 this year. I don't know how many years the Lord's going to let me stay here. I could be here 1 minute and gone the next. So when I talk and I teach, I'm teaching my kids. And I'm telling my kids, don't touch this stuff. My oldest son, Cody, he's losing money while these things are doing this because he wants to prove to dad he's smarter about this because I'm an old head and I don't know new technology. Maybe that's true. I don't know new technology. I don't know anything about the blockchain crap. I don't know anything about this stuff except for I would never touch it. And I have begged and pleaded my son when it was 125,000 in Bitcoin. I said, please, son, if you've never, ever, ever going to listen to me ever again, please just sell it now. You could always get back in. You could always get back in. And he didn't want to listen to me. In fact, he was very smug about it and said, I'm wrong. And I knew enough to know that he's a grown man now. I stuck my hands in my pocket. I said, okay, I'll respect that. And I have not gone back to him and said, I told you so. Because as his father, what would that do? That would break his spirit. It would just reinforce the idea of him wanting to be adversarial because he's a young man like I was, and I thought I knew everything when I was 20, and I discovered I didn't know as much as I thought I did. And now I've been around the block a little longer than I was when I was in 20s, and I tend to do things, more consistently than I did back then. And because I love him, he's my son, I didn't want to see him lose his money. But he is not convinced that this thing's gonna. Hey, in other words, he thinks it's gonna go to 1,000,000. Okay, and I just and that's never gonna happen, folks. This is never, ever gonna happen. That's never gonna happen. So, they're trying to sweep all the stuff that this particular thing was used for under the rug, but a lot of people know about it now, and I think that, because we're in World War III, as I said last night and today, we are absolutely in it. We've been in it for a while. It's gonna get worse, and this thing should be going to the moon right now if it was what everybody said it was. And I know some of you are gonna say, "You just don't know, bro. This is the cycle, and this is the." Dude, I get it. Okay, you know everything. Okay, I don't know anything about Bitcoin. You win. You beat me in the arm wrestling match. Okay, I'm still gonna stand here and tell you it's going to zero. That's where it's going. Okay, and all of you, if I live long enough to see it, you know, go higher than the 127,000, you can all come to my live, oh, not live stream, but you can come to my X feed and blast me about it and have fun, take your shots, and it'll be fine. It's okay because I'm not losing any money. I'm not going to lose anything from this. To me, it's just I thought something was going to happen. It doesn't happen. I was wrong. I lose nothing. You have all of your hopes and dreams, and now you have your social media clout on the line too. So you're fully invested in it. Who do you think has the most objective view on it? I have nothing in the race. I don't have to look right in front of my students about it because I don't trade it. Remember, you guys are twisting my arm about talking about this thing because I never want to talk about it. So that's that's the reality. Okay. Um, NSA built this whole hash around it, and you guys think you know something, but you don't. And it was used for things that you wouldn't be a part of. And now more and more people are learning about it, and it's time for the Ponzi to die. And that's really the reality of it all. So there's that. Gold. All right, so you can see this thing here has been stubborn. We had this inefficiency here. It's just staying. Look at the bodies. See how it's staying inside that? This is a market that I would not want to trade. It's highly manipulated. They're controlling it, and the wicks are allowed to go outside of it, but the bodies are staying inside that gap I told you the focus on. Let's take a quick look at silver, and that'll be it for tonight. I spent a little bit more time talking because I felt guilty about losing the chart setting live and trying to fix it while I was doing the live stream. I told you I'm not an avid live streamer, so you have to take the good with the bad, right? So here's silver. Um, everything I said about silver last night, I still hold to that idea. I would not touch it. I'm not trading it. I don't have a short on. I don't have a long on. I won't be trading it at all. Okay, it's too much manipulation in here, and I'm honestly expecting some tomfoolery in it. Okay, a Hunt Brothers 2.0. And it's been such a long time that a lot of you don't even know what that means. Like you don't even know what that means. You have no idea because 1980 was so far before you were born. Most of you are trading. Most of you they're probably listening to me today right now. You're probably so young that you weren't even alive during 1980. But there's something that you can do a little research on. Don't do things like Chat GPT to pull the information up. Do a real deep dive investigation on uh, Googling it, look it up. Um, there's a few books you can go on Amazon and pull it up, and there's some good documentaries that are written about it, that the whole fiasco around it. And it was a complete shit show. Like it was bullshit is what it was. And we have the same climate right now where everything is corrupt. Every politician's on the take. The the exchanges, you know, you gotta love them because they give us a way to get into business and trade, and they facilitate trade for us. But, you know, these guys are running a casino, and you can say whatever you wanna say about it, but that's the truth. And if you have a way of working with countries, governments, banks, Rockefellers, oh, I said that? Sorry. Um, when you have a connection with these entities, the rules can be bent. It isn't black and white anymore. It's a gray area. And things just tend to happen. And who's really going to do anything about it? Who's really going to do anything about it? What did they do really technically back in 1980? The Hunt brothers were the only ones that were punished for it. The only thing they were doing was buying aggressively. You're trying to say, wait a minute, I can afford to buy more because I have more money, but now I'm going to be punished because I'm a bullish investor and I use the funds that I have available to me to buy more of it. But when you label, oh, we're trying to corner the market. Well, I thought this stuff was bought and sold in a free market. And if it's buying pressure, why wouldn't that buying pressure keep keep the market going higher? Study it and look at it. You'll see. That was your first crash course, if you were alive back then, that these markets are rigged. And they weren't electronically traded back then, where it was more advantageous to do it like it is today. Just a script here and there, a push of a button, set a boundary, can't go any higher, can't go any lower, and just let the market just tick tack and go back and forth, like you're seeing gold do in its daily chart. Saying things like this in the beginning, if you've never traded before, if you never had the bug bite you, where you did something, followed some rules, and it worked in your favor, if that's never happened for you, when having a discussion like I'm referring to these things here, it's very easy to make someone say, you know what, I don't think I want to do this. And you know what? It's probably a good idea because there's a lot of people out there that they shouldn't trade. They're never going to be disciplined enough to do it. They're going to hurt themselves. They're going to just take money they can't afford to really spend, and they're going to gamble, and they're going to build positions larger than they can really, stand and stomach it. And when they lose, it hurts them, not just monetarily, but it warps their perspective. And now they want to lash out. They want to lash out at people that they learned from, people that said, you should try this. Oh, you're all scammers, this, that, and the other thing. So if you're weak, and I don't mean that to be condescending, okay? Hear me out when I say this part, and I'm going to close it. If you're someone that can't take adversity, if you want everything easy and it has to be in your favor all the time, or it's an unfair injustice to you, I can promise you, not ever trading with real money is the best decision that you'll ever make because these markets are rigged. These markets are going to hurt you. They're going to take money from you. They're going to take time from you. They're going to take hope away from you. They're going to dash your dreams. They're going to crush your spirit. And they're going to make you feel like you don't want to get out of bed. You want to cover up your head and never see the light of day again until you figure out what it is that you have to do to correct yourself. But if you have all those central tenets in the beginning where you demand it has to be easy and the market owes you, the person that you're learning from owes you something. If that's how you think, I promise you this, you until you fix that mindset, you will never make money at this. And I'm talking consistently profitable, not get a win here and there, get a flash in the pan here and there. No. Uh-uh. Last time I checked, I don't have a multiple bingo card model. I don't have a scratch off model where it's just pure coincidence that things lined up. I don't have that type of stuff. And so many people in today's world, the younger generation, they have this spirit of expectation that everything's owed to them. And if you don't do it on their terms and their timeline, that you are a fraud, you're a scammer, you're not worth listening to, and they're right in their view when they're not. They had the opinion of a fool and the attention span of a gnat, but they have an opinion. And social media gives people with ignorance a microphone to show just how stupid they are. And what's worse is it allows other people to see that same mentality and draw an affinity for it and say, "Yeah, I agree with what you're saying." So it's like more clowns join the circus and they're all together collectively calling everybody else something that they'll never arrive at. But they'll victimize them. They'll lash out at those individuals that are actually doing it. When they don't have the wherewithal, they don't have the ability to stick with it. They don't have the mindset to accept the fact that it's going to take some real hardships in the beginning for you to get through it. Most people can't. Most people can't do it. And the challenge is for you to dig deep and say, I'm going to be met with that same challenge like everybody else. The difference is I'm not going to quit when 90% do. They may come into the marketplace. I have this much money to put in my account when in fact they only have a couple $100 that they're willing to risk. And when that's gone, they just fold up shop and say, that's it, I can't do this. So they really weren't ready. They weren't properly capitalized. They didn't have enough money. And the first thing I want to do is make sure that I'm protecting anyone that's listening to me. I'm not trying to build up fanfare to make you think that it's all going to be easy and you're all going to get rich. You're going to work, you're going to study, and you're going to fail a lot in the beginning. All of you are going to fail a lot in the beginning. But the ones that really want it, the ones that are really striving to carve out a model that they can follow, that finds consistency, they'll get it because they earned it. Not because it was owed to them, not because some kind of preferential treatment. No shortcuts, no 5-minute trainers. No, I looked at everything ICT teaches, so now I'm going to give you the easiest way of doing it in the Cliff Notes version, so that way you don't have to do it. Nobody does that and does it with your best interest in mind. That is all engagement farming. That's crowd building. That's what that is, okay? This stuff takes a little bit more thought than what you're probably ready to give it. And if I'm not the cup of tea that you think that you should have as a trading model, if I'm not the guy to learn from for you, it's okay. It's okay. I promise you, it's okay. The people that do listen to me, they're going to be okay without you being part of the community. I'm going to be okay if you go and do something else. And I hope you're profitable. I hope you find something that meets everything and beyond your expectations, and you're able to pass it on to your kids, and you live a very healthy life, peacefully and prosperous. That's what I want for everyone. That's what I want for everyone. But because I don't subscribe to everybody else's stuff, this is my life's work. So if we're going to have the discussion and I'm going to be a part of the discussion, I know a little bit about this. So this is where I want to stay. This is my lane. And when I'm being drug into other people's lanes, hey, what do you think about this guy? What do you think about this person? What do you think about this stuff? It's all bullshit. Everything else is bullshit. So that way, don't ask me. Don't ask me. I look like the kid at the playground that nobody wants to play with. But that's what I want. I don't want anybody to play with me. I want you to mind your own fucking business. Okay? Mind your business. If you can trade and you want to have a community, build it. Be content with building your own community using your stuff. If you make money, what difference does it make what I do or what my students do? It doesn't make any difference. We're not spending your money. You can't spend ours. You know, bringing broker statements out here, trading in front of you live, building up the account here, doing withdrawals. None of that shit makes any difference to the people that just simply don't want to believe it anyway. I'm not going to jump through hoops for you fucking clowns. I'm not going to do it. My life, my time I don't have a lot of it left. That's how I'm looking. I don't have a lot of that left. But some of you fucking clowns literally think that the whole world revolves around you and everybody owes you some bullshit explanation about what needs to be convincing to you. Fuck you. How's that work for you? How's that work for you? Stick that in your fucking sock, okay? It's time for you to get past this idea that everybody owes you something because they don't. And the people that are here that rolled up their sleeves and they want to get in here and treat it like a real business opportunity, they're being told the same thing. This is going to be hard. You're going to have to work through this and it's going to take longer than you want. It's not going to be as fast as you want to learn how to do it consistently. You're going to wrestle with doing one model over another. You're going to second guess your choice about what you're doing. Maybe I should use this PDA rate. Maybe I should not trade this session. Maybe I should use this market. Maybe I shouldn't be trading this indices stuff. And maybe I should go back to Forex. That's what makes it difficult, folks. And I'm not going to be the guy that tells you this is what you should do. The way I teach, I lay down tools, I lay down parameters, I give you criteria, and you decide if you want to pick that up and use it or not. Your initial choice, you may pick it up, you may try to use it, and you may think to yourself, this doesn't really jive with me. I don't feel anything resonating with this. Okay, try something else. In the beginning, the very early stages, it's okay to do that. Get a feel for what it is you're trying to focus on. But eventually, you're gonna have to settle in on something and give it a couple weeks, a couple months to see, does it build an affinity for you? If it doesn't, I don't think it's ever going to be like this, where you see something I shared and you look at it and say, "This is it. I don't need to do anything else. This is it, man. This is it. There's nothing else. I'm never going to," because that doesn't happen. And the proof is every time I teach something new, they start buzzing about it. Everybody's bringing it up in their mentorship. Everybody's teaching it in their Discord. Everybody's teaching it in their live stream. So it's the new shiny object syndrome. And I could be doing this every single day and never run out of content. Every single day, something new. If I thought it was gonna be helpful for you, I would do it. But what have you done with what I got on that YouTube channel right now? Have you exhausted it? If you haven't exhausted it, you have some opportunity there still. But you have to come to terms with this is gonna take some real work. And you're trying to learn it in the most difficult time in my own career. I've been trading longer than most of you have been alive. Before your mother even birthed you, I was already trading. Think about that. And I'm telling you, I have never seen the markets this challenging. Clearly, I know how to trade. Clearly, you can see that I'm doing it, but I'm not used to this much throttled back in terms of my ability to walk in there and just do whatever I want to do. I have to be a little bit more selective. I got to be a little bit more careful. I got to remember, hey, look, anytime something could drop in the States and boom, everything changes then. Everything changes then. So if I didn't teach this way, what kind of educator would I be? One not worth listening to. That's what it would be. But I told you before we started this year, I was going to give you something that would be practical, something that's real, and it's realistic. You can't get any more realistic than one micro contract. And already, many of you have already put it to task today, and you saw how totally different it was using one micro. You don't have that fear. You don't have that sense of, I got to overperform. I have to live up to somebody's expectations on social media. I got to be equal to this person, or I'm not going to be considered a trader because I want to feel like I'm part of a community. The community that you need to be a part of is in your journal. That's it. That's the community that you need to be a part of because that's the future you. You're cultivating that future person. And if you don't have that in your mindset as a goal, as a target to aim for, who are you building up for? What are you doing all the work for? 90% of you are doing it because you want to show off one trick pony opportunities where you get something right so you can go on social media and have that 5 seconds of fame. Hopefully, get 100 or so hearts underneath your post, maybe a couple laughs out loud, or you're the goat. That shit's bullshit. It's dumb. It doesn't do anything for you. But when you're weak and you're inconsistent, you don't have a way of knowing that you're going to be able to do it anytime you really want, you look for those types of things because that's all you have. And you're pandering for it. Everybody out there is pandering for that attention, that clout. And I'm telling you, as someone that's been doing it, has done it, and can do it, I don't do those things because it doesn't make a difference. It doesn't put more money in my pocket. It doesn't make it easier for me to trade. And it's all bullshit. It's dumb stuff. It's dumb. But it's a distraction. It's a cleverly designed distraction for the average person to be caught up in that stuff because it takes their attention away from the pain and suffering that mundane living gives them. And while you're waiting for that to dissolve into a consistently profitable lifestyle as a trader, you're looking for those distractions. You're looking for those things to take away that pain, numb it. I'm not there yet. I'm not as profitable as I want to be. I'm not as consistent as I want to be. I'm not making as much money as I want to be. And all these things pound on you emotionally and psychologically. So you're going to look for things to do what? To ease the pain and distract you. And when there's drama, look around. Last few weeks, a lot of things have happened, and certain individuals are on the blunt end of basically, highly opinionated bullshit. Whether they deserve it or not, I don't know. I don't know. But look who joins that bandwagon. It's the same people all the time. It's the same toxic little bitches that can't wait to join the bandwagon, and they're sucking other influencers off, begging for their attention because they suck so badly doing their own show. Everybody wants to have some measure of significance. Why can't you just mind your own fucking business? Why can't you do that? Why can't you just stay in your own lane and learn how to do this well and be a very inspirational member of the community at large? Not my community, not another community, as in general, as part of FinTwit, crypto Twitter. You can't, can you? Because you're miserable. Because if you can talk bad about somebody else, well, guess what? That's distracting you from your bullshit. It's distracting you from your broke ass. And when I talk to individuals like this, they think that I'm trying to be something that they can now attack. Well, come at me, brother. Come on. I'm here. I'm here every fucking day. I'm not hiding. I'm out here on Twitter. Come at me. What could you possibly fucking say? Nothing. Because I do this every single fucking day. They say people that try to be so perfect, they try to sell the tops and the bottoms. Yeah, I'm fucking doing it. I'm fucking doing it. I'm calling it, I'm outlining it, and I'm teaching my students how to do it. Just because you can't fucking do it, just because you can't do it, nobody can do it. It's not possible. It's scammed. It's rigged. They used to say it was a rented MT4 server. What is it when you do a live stream and you call the shit before it happens and it pans out? What do you do with that? You're running out of excuses because you've already sold your soul to the idea and the opinion that you didn't forge yourself. You just subscribed to other people's view. And I'm watching it happen with other guys right now in trading. I don't know what they did or didn't do, but I see it. I see how everybody's biting each other's backs. It's fucking pathetic. It's pathetic. Like this is what you got time for? You're doing so well. You're doing so well. You have so much free time that you can take and invest it in tearing somebody else down. That's what you got? I got more money than all you motherfuckers. I got more free time than all of you motherfuckers. Okay? I'm padded out. I'm minted. If anybody's got the time and the reason to be able to talk down to everybody else, it's me, and I don't do it. I'm Mr. fucking Rogers. I'm out here for free. I could be getting millions of dollars every single week. Not month, not year, week. And they're all begging me still in the email. Can I please? No, I don't want your fucking money. How hard is that? How hard is that? Keep your fucking money, save it up, and use it to invest in yourself, not me. Like you would think, looking around, seeing the state of affairs around the world right now. You know, what I just realized I thought I was on X. I'm probably gonna get this live stream's probably gonna get flagged or all kinds of bullshit. Fuck it. We're here now, right? You would think in the way the state of affairs that the world is in right now, people would be conscious of the things that they say or do and have a little bit more couth, a little bit more sensitivity. You don't know what the other person's going through. You don't know what the average person that's saying to themselves, you know, I want to be a part of this. I want to learn how to do it. And they take the step out on social media and they say, I'm trying to study this, that, and the other thing. And you see these little dick assholes. You know they're broke. You know they're broke because they can't hold it back. They got to go and they start talking about somebody that's making an initiative to do it. And you go look at their shit. It's like 500 retweets in the beginning of everything. You try to look at their most recent post. It's all retweeted bullshit. They're like bots, but they're going to tear down somebody. And some of you listen to this dumb shit from people and it completely changes your opinion about it. And it scares you. It makes you feel like, I don't want to be a part of this because it's a cult. Yes, it's a fucking cult. It's the cult of winning. That's what this is. I'm the ringleader, motherfucker. I'm not a cult leader. I'm the ringleader. I'm the guy that pumps you up. I'm the guy that takes you to the woodshed when you need it. And I'm Mr. Rogers in every other day. It's hard. Sometimes you need a drill sergeant. Sometimes you need a counselor. Sometimes you just need somebody to say how it was hard for me, the things I had to go through. And then it doesn't feel as bad. And it doesn't feel like it's singling me out if he went through it too. And then you go into communities like the Traders Roundup where they have other people that come out, and I appreciate their honesty. I love it when they open up and they show their vulnerability. They don't have to come out and say those things. They don't have to admit how hard things are for them, how long they had to work for it. In today's world, everybody walked out of your mother's ass, and started, ice skating, flames shooting out your own ass, and you conquered the world, and you had no adversity. That's how it was for you. Everybody on the internet, that's how they were born into the world. Everybody in the fucking internet, that's how it happened. And they said it, so therefore we have to believe it. And if anybody's honest and they come forward and they say, "This is what I'm struggling with. Like, this is hard. Do you have any advice for me?" And you see these little micro dick assholes come out here, you know damn well they're broke. and they tear down these people. It ain't just in my community. It ain't just part of Traders Roundup community. It happens in everybody else's community. Anybody that has attention given to them, these terrible, tormented souls can't keep themselves from going over there and stirring up trouble. And now, me personally, I laugh at this shit because that's why I'm on X. I'm on X just for that reason. I'm not hiding from anybody. So you can't complain about, oh, he turned his comments off. Motherfucker, I'm right there. Everybody can see your comment to me. Everybody can see it. I can't block you and nobody can see your comment to me. Everybody knows my handle. I beg for it every fucking day. But none of you have a valid excuse for why the things I share beforehand happens to the tick. Why is that? Why can't you figure out that riddle? Hmm? Where's the repackaging? What am I really using if it's not mine? That's the gag that keeps on giving. They'd never have an answer for it. But they keep saying it. They keep saying it. They keep saying it. Doesn't make it any more true. It's still a lie. It's still false. Nothing's better. Nothing's more precise. Nothing's more consistent. And nothing's ever going to be better than this. Ever. Ever, ever, ever. Because this is the market. How can you improve on perfection? What measure of improvement can you render to perfection? You can't. And that's why I stand out here all the time with a shit eating grin every single day. Because every week, every day, and it won't stop. So, anyway, I think I'd toss a little bit of that space ICT in here for the people that like to get off on that kind of stuff. And for the others that miss the misery. Until I talk to you next time, I wish you good luck and good trading.